One of the most common questions I've heard about the Vista 20P is why can't I get into programmer mode? Since there's several things that can cause this, I have taken excerpts from many of my other videos and tried to expand on the information presented. So here we go. The instructions for entering programming mode can be found in the programming guide. First thing is you want to make sure none of the zones are faulted. This means like doors and windows aren't open. The alarm panel cannot be armed. This includes both partitions 1 and 2. Most home alarm systems only use partition 1, but it is possible to accidentally arm partition 2 without you knowing about it. How do I know this? Because I've done it. Now, at the keypad, enter the installer code of 4112, followed by the number 800. If all is good in the world, you're now in programming mode. However, the previous programmer can lock this installer code out so you can't use it. But don't worry, I have a workaround for that. Go to the main alarm panel and remove power from it, both AC and battery backup. Now reapply your power, and within 50 seconds of powering up, press the asterisk key and the pound key at the same time. Hopefully, this bypassed your lockout and you're now in programming mode. If you didn't enter programming mode using this method, because your alarm company that installed the panel has locked you out permanently. Only they can gain you access. But don't give up yet. Later in this video, I'll show you a workaround for that as well. First, let's look at some hands-on examples of what we've already discussed. Here's how to use the installer code. Okay, now that we finally know what we're doing, let's enter programming mode again. A display of installer code 20 means you've successfully arrived at this destination. Now let's take a look at the power-up method. To do this, go to the alarm box and disconnect the battery. Then you want to disconnect the power transformer. If you don't know where the transformer is, go inside the panel and on the far left-hand side, you'll find these two contacts. This is where your main AC power comes in. Just disconnect one of the wires. Your goal here is to completely remove power from the alarm box. Now let's put power back on. Hook up your battery, then plug your transformer back in. Your panel will then power up. Within 50 seconds of powering up, press the asterisk and the pound key at the same time. This does place you in programming mode. Okay, let's say your installer code didn't work, but the power-up mode did. 3 different things could have caused this. The first is the way the previous programmer exited programming. There's 2 different ways you can exit programming, with asterisk 98 or 99. If you use asterisk 98, after you exit programming mode, the installer code will no longer work. But like we just did, you can still use the power-up mode to get into programming. The fix to this is easy now that you're in programming mode. Simply exit using asterisk 99. From this point on, your installer code will work. Let's take a look at the normal way to exit programming. Asterisk 99. And this is what it looks like when you lock yourself out of programming mode. Asterisk 98. You drop out of and are locked out of programming mode now. Okay, let's talk about the second reason why your installer code may not have worked. As it turns out, the installer code can be changed. 4112 may not be valid, but the fix to this is easy. You can see the first screen that comes up when you enter program mode is field 20. It's called installer code. Luckily, we have the ability to ask the control panel what the code is. And that secret weapon is the pound sign. Instead of using the asterisk when you're programming, if you type a pound sign instead, you're asking the panel to tell you what's programmed into that field. Let's try it. Programming mode this way. Anyway, from this screen, enter pound 20. The control panel will now display the installer code 1 digit at a time. This code is 4112. Okay, what's up with the 0 before each number? I have 2 theories on this. Either Honeywell lets their programmers drink while programming, or they live in a state with legalized marijuana. That's the only way I can make sense out of it. Coincidentally, 4112 happens to be the default value for this field. Default values are shown in brackets in your programmer's guide. And here's the good news. Now that you're in programming mode, you can change the installer code back to 4112, or any other 4-digit code that you'd like. Here's how. Only one person can change the installer code, and that's the installer. The way we're going to do this is type asterisk 20 followed by your new 4-digit code. Let's change it to 1472. 3 beeps means the code was changed successfully. Oh, by the way, this video excerpt came from part 8 of my series on how to program Vista 20p alarm panels. As far as I know, I'm the only human being on the planet Earth that has used chickens to explain how a complex programming concept works. Not only do you get to learn about installer codes, you also learn about master codes, partition master codes, and user codes, and have fun while you're doing it. I highly recommend you watch it. Okay, moving on. Finally, let's get down to the third reason why your installer code probably did not work. If the panel was installed by an alarm company, they do have the ability to lock the code out. In the event you no longer use that alarm monitoring company, or this is a new house you moved into and the alarm happened to be there already, there is a workaround to not having access to the installer code. This little circuit card is the brains of the whole operation. Coincidentally, the instructions to prevent you from accessing programming are also stored on this card. So the fix is kind of intuitive. Just replace this circuit card. So if you just moved into a house, you're not sure if this is a Vista 20p, take a look at this chip right here. You'll see the top line has printed WA20p. So now you're sure you have a 20p system you're working with. Hop on the internet and order yourself a Vista 20p alarm panel. You don't need all the stuff like keypads and sensors because you already own all that stuff. The new panel will cost you right around $150. When the panel arrives, open up the metal case. The circuit card you need is located right here. Go to your house alarm panel and remove any power transformers that may be plugged into it, and disconnect any batteries that are hooked up. Make sure there's no power on this circuit card. Speaking of the circuit card, now, very carefully, mark which terminal each wire goes to on this circuit card. After you've done that, check your work and make sure you've marked every wire correctly. Remember, some terminals will have multiple wires installed on them. Now, remove all the wires off the bottom of the circuit card. The card is held in place by 2 small Phillips screws. Remove them. Remove and discard the original circuit card and replace it with the new card that you ordered. Reinstall the 2 mounting screws. Reinstall all the wiring. Hook up the batteries. Then reapply AC power. Since your new card is set to factory defaults, you should be able to easily get into programming mode now. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.